It's him again. Well now, he has to be the shaggiest witness I have ever laid eyes upon. Please state your name and occupation. Oh, I'm, that so-and-so whatchamacallit. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's continue. Anonymous TBD. At least that's what they're been calling me. TBD, as in to be determined? Can't you just tell us your real name? The witness has suffered a blow to the head, rendering him amnesiac. Therefore, I named him Anonymous TBD in my report. But he thinks TBD is part of his name.
Objection!
You're letting an amnesiac testify? Have no fear. I have already questioned him at length. While it is true he has utterly forgotten his name and past, his memory of what he witnessed is still very much intact. Considering the dearth of information, any new knowledge may be of help. Therefore, I will permit his testimony. Now, Mr. Emus, please tell us what you saw. Witness testimony. The night of the murder. That night, I was up at the top of Mount Bani Bani, the mountain next to the inner sanctum. I hate crowds, so I climbed up there to pray in peace. I know it's a no-no, but since there was no one around, I used my binoculars to spy on the right of the inner sanctum. That's when I saw the accused stab the high priest with a dagger. There's no way you saw Miss Face stab the victim with a dagger. I swear I don't know what he's talking about. Or don't remember at any rate. Mount Bani Bani. The beautiful mountain that is also known as the Little Sanctum. They must be talking about that smaller mountain from the poster. Mr. Emus, I was wondering. What can I do you for? The inner sanctum lies at a high elevation where clouds and fog can obscure the view. Are you sure you were able to see what happened from the mountaintop next to it? Good point. His Majesty raises an excellent question. Well, Mr. Emus, on the day of the rite, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. I had a perfect view. If you don't believe me, check the weather forecast in the paper that day. Nick, don't we have the newspaper for that day? Yeah, let's take a look. It does say calm, clear skies, doesn't it? See? Told you so. May 9th newspaper updated. Well, it would appear the witness has offered testimony worth hearing. Mr. Emus, I too have a question for you. Didn't he already question the witness? Well, that's what I'm here for, right? Sure. How was the accused holding the dagger? Was she holding it underhanded, its blade protruding from the bottom of her hand? Yep, I believe she was. It's called a reverse grip. Ah, I thought as much.
Hold it!
Hold it right there! What bearing does that have on this case? Cease your interruptions, you putrid-headed lawyer. Do you not see the significance in how the blade was held? Why don't you enlighten me, O enlightened one? I knew you were a fool. I can already picture you in your next life. Next life? Yes, after your soul rides for centuries in the pits of hell. You shall be reborn as a witless sea urchin with barbs limited to your posterior. You shall live a short, inconsequential life, only to be brutally devoured by a sea otter. That was a bit excessive. I simply asked what the dagger grip had to do with the case. Now pay attention. How the accused held the dagger is of vital importance. With such information, we can infer exactly what actions she took. You were saying that the victim was killed while he had his back to the accused. Is that correct? Yes. As such, the accused's dagger grip tells us something very important. The accused approached the victim from behind, swung her arms around him, and plunged the dagger deep into his abdomen using a reverse grip.
What?
Thus, Mr. Emis's testimony clears up any doubts that might remain. And it coincides with the benevolence's insights as well. This is a disaster. I thought I'd blown those insights out of the water, but now they're back to haunt me. Now then, the defense may cross-examine the witness. We got a job to do now. That night, I was up at the top of Mount Pani Pani, the mountain next to the inner sanctum. I hate crowds, so I climbed up there to pray in peace. I know it's a no-no, but since there was no one around, I used my binoculars to spy on the right of the inner sanctum. Really? You say that, then how do you explain the ritual curtain?
Objection!
Your Majesty, I had my doubts about this bushy-bearded witness, but now I know we can't trust him. What? You ain't just judging me solely on my bodacious beard, are you? Not at all, Mr. Emis. It's much more than your sketchy appearance. It's your sketchy testimony.
His testimony, you say?
Yes. Recall how the inner sanctum was that day. Specifically that it was completely enclosed by the ritual curtain.
Why, yes. I believe you're right.
The curtain would have completely blocked the witness's view from Mount Pani Pani. Therefore, he couldn't possibly have seen the murder happen.
Hoo-ha! Mr. Emis, have you been knowingly making false statements to this court? Aye! You got me! The witness will lower his voice.
I didn't actually see the accused herself. He didn't actually see the accused herself? What's that supposed to mean, huh? Let me set the record straight. I beg you. Witness testimony. The night of the murder. Amended. I saw their shadowy silhouettes projected against the ritual curtain. The figures were created by the light of the full moon on that clear and still night. She was just a shadow, but I could tell it was the accused reverse gripping the dagger. Shadows? That's what you saw? That's right. I could see what was going on by the shadows projected onto the ritual curtain. In the future, Mr. Emis, I would rather you offer up accurate testimony from the start. Forgive me, my main man, Mr. Magistrate. Chalk it up to my fuzzy memory. Though we saw but shadows, it is still valuable testimony. You have to be kidding me. What are we going to do now, Nick? All I can think of is to look for inconsistencies between the actual Wright and what Mr. Emis says he saw.
Now then, the defense may cross-examine the witness once more.
This won't take us long with this one, am I right? I saw their shadowy silhouettes projected against the ritual curtain. The figures were created by the light of the full moon on that clear and still night. Really? Is that right? I'm sorry, but your testimony is full of holes.
Objection!
You saw silhouettes projected by the moonlight? Sorry, but that's just not possible. What do you mean? How is it not possible that it was totally possible? That's impossible. I think I'm gonna need a logicalese translation on that. Let's take a look at this Wright's guide, shall we, Mr. Emis? The Wright is held when the moon is directly over the summit of Mount Pani Pani. Doot. So if the moon was shining from the west, any shadows would have been cast eastward. But Mr. Emis was standing to the west of the inner sanctum on Mount Pani Pani. Oh, holy mother. That's right. Our witness here couldn't have seen any shadowy figures on that curtain. No way! Perhaps it was the sacred flames of the lanterns that cast the shadows he saw. I am afraid not. I inspected them during my investigation, but The flames were too small to cast the crypt's distinct figures Mr. Emus claims to have seen. But I did see those silhouettes. Really? But how could he, Nick? Maybe he was someplace where they were visible. Wait, don't tell me. Your Magistrate, if Mr. Emus really did see these shadows, it brings a brand new fact to light.
And that would be...
The brand new fact that comes to light if Mr. Emus really did see those shadows is that he was somewhere else. He wasn't where he claimed to be at the time of the murder.
Oh, and where do you propose the witness was?
Someplace where he could have seen the shadowy figures naturally. Wait, you mean... None of the mountains east of the inner sanctum are close enough for a good view. That leaves only one place he could have clearly seen the shadows from.
And where might that be?
This is where Mr. Emus was at the time of the murder. The inner sanctum. Mr. Emus was at the inner sanctum, just outside the curtain on the east side. That's the only place from which he could have seen the shadowy figures.
Hoo-ha!
Really? Wow, I didn't even think of that.
But wasn't the inner sanctum off limits to all but the victim and the accused?
And the third party who was there, I get the feeling that's a subject Prosecutor Sadmati would rather not touch right now.
Ah, you mean...
That's right. This witness was at the scene of the crime, which means he is the mysterious third party we saw during the divination seance. He could be the one who dressed as Lady Kira and killed the High Priest.
Gookie? What?
Objection. No one but the two participants were allowed anywhere near the inner sanctum. And the only way up there are the stairs that start down the Plaza of Devotion. So tell me, how do you propose the witness enter that sacred space? Oh, he must have... I haven't thought that far ahead. The sanctum has sheer cliffs on three sides and a steep towering rock face on the other. No one could have made it there by climbing the faces of those cliffs. His Majesty speaks true. To say Mr. Emus was at such an location is but a bit to tarnish his credibility. Is that not right? Right, I wasn't at the inner sanctum. No sir, no how.
At least I'm pretty sure I was.
Hold it! Then what about those silhouettes you claim to have seen? I'm starting to think I've been imagining things.
What? This is insane!
I knew we couldn't trust that lawyer. He's trying to frame the witness.
Peace. Peace, I say.
This is impossible, unless I can show how we got to the inner sanctum. It just looks like I'm trying to slander Mr. Emus. I believe in you, Nick. Rah, rah, sis-boom-bah, fight, fight, Phoenix Wright. Just look at the accused. Has she no shame? What's your problem, lady? Phoenix Wright is very trustworthy, all of you know. She's got some nerve for a criminal. I bet that lawyer poisoned her mind. Please, Maya. You're only making it worse. I appreciate the vote of confidence, but it's probably best to keep it to yourself for now.
I would advise the defense to think carefully before making any more sudden outbursts.
Yes, Your Majesty. If I wasn't the bad guy before, I definitely am now. Now, Mr. Emus, I would like you to think back carefully before you testify next about where you were that night. Witness testimony. I wasn't at the inner sanctum. I was never at the inner sanctum, I tell you. That much I'm sure of, even with the fuzzy memory. Besides, it would have been impossible to get there in the first place. Boy, you lawyers sure are scary. I guess it might have been impossible for him to get to the inner sanctum like he claims, but... Now will you desist in trying to frame this innocent witness? Yeah, I'd like to see you explain how we got up there.
Mr. Wright, is it not time to end these cross-examinations?
A moment of desperation leads to 100 million years of torment. It means that for each moment a sinner spends struggling to deny their sins, 100 million years of torment are added to their time in hell. Khura'ism is the strictest religion ever. And just so you know, you've already accrued 200 million extra years. Plus the 5 they started with. That's 700 million years of torment. Sure, another 200 million, give or take.
Well, it's a big deal to me.
I can't keep saying that the witness was there at the inner sanctum if I can't prove it. The problem is, how am I going to do that? Cross-examination. Man, this guy is one tough nut to crack. I was never at the inner sanctum, I tell you. That much I'm sure of, even with a fuzzy memory. Besides, it would have been impossible to get there in the first place. I wonder if it really was impossible for you to get to the inner sanctum. If you have something to say, just say it. Couldn't there have been another way to get there? A way that wouldn't attract attention? No, there isn't. Which means there is. Perhaps the defense would share its theory with us. I don't even have a wild guess, let alone a theory, though. Time to reach into my bag of bluffs. To reach the inner sanctum without attracting any attention, he fell from the sky. Maybe you fell from the sky. The lawyer thinks he's a comedian now. I was wondering what crazy theory you would propose next. Well, defense, let's hear it. Mr. Emus could have, parachuted down. We already know the weather was clear and there was no wind to speak of. Perfect weather for skydiving, I'd say. Now that you have been backed into a corner, your delusions grow ever more delusional. The inner sanctum is on a tiny ledge upon a sheer cliff over 2,000 meters tall. One misstep and a skydiver would soon find themselves in the Twilight Realm.
Yeah, I don't care how still the wind was, even I couldn't have made that jump.
Wait, what's this building on top of the sacred mountain? That is Royal Penitentiary number 4. Oh right, Princess Rafa mentioned there was a prison up there. How do you get your prisoners up there anyway? By helicopter, but only with authorization from the Minister of Justice. He is the only one who could approve flights that pass over the inner sanctum. Mountain Rage poster updated. Might I also add, defense, that no parachute or any other equipment necessary for skydiving have been found. Are you saying I flew down there by flapping my arms? I may be an incredible dude, but even I'm not capable of that. Ugh! Well, please add that statement to your testimony. It's not like I can fly through the air either. Are you really sure about that? Because judging by these sanctum prayer flags, I say otherwise. Mr. Emus is right. He couldn't have skydived down there without any gear. Well now, finally come around, have you? Now you see that I couldn't have possibly been there at the inner sanctum. Right, if you didn't have any gear, that is. What on earth are you talking about? That overreaction is a dead giveaway that I'm on the right track. Take a look at this piece of evidence.
Those are prayer flags, are they not?
Yes, but they have been sewn together to create one big banner. A banner that could also function like a parachute. Porconca! The people of Khura'in are so used to seeing these prayer flags that the police didn't even think twice about these flags during their investigation. No, this cannot be. The witness landed at the inner sanctum by using these prayer flags as a parachute. Is that not right, Mr. Emus? There's no way out. I'm surrounded. Mr. Emus, All this talk's jogged my memory. I guess I was there at the inner sanctum after all. As I suspected, there were 3 people there that night. You did it, Nick! You weren't wrong after all. Thanks? Mr. Emus, you were the one disguised as Lady Kira that night, weren't you? What? No way, no how! It's like this. Oh yeah. I was only there at the inner sanctum by accident. By accident? Exactly. And that thing's not a parachute. It's a homemade paraglider. A paraglider? Are you telling me you could fly using that patchwork mess of material? It may not look like much, but it's as sturdy as it can be. I rode the wind like an eagle, going higher and higher from my earthly launching point. But then something happened that forced me to land at the inner sanctum. So you just happened to land there? You expect me to believe that?
Now, please calm yourself, Mr. Wright. However, the fact that the witness was at the inner sanctum is crucial testimony indeed. And it certainly warrants further explication.
Witness testimony. Why I was at the inner sanctum. And before that, it's like,
Therefore, let's continue with more testimony.
okay then, let's go. That evening, I was enjoying a trek through the night sky with my homemade paraglider. But just as Miss Mount Pawnee Pawnee was drawing near, something terrible happened. An accident forced me to make an emergency landing at the inner sanctum. And as I landed, I banged my head, causing me to lose my memory. So you see, I ended up in the inner sanctum pretty by accident. Mr. Emus, you failed to mention any of this during your pre-trial questioning.
Can't be helped. I mean, I'm just remembering it now.
Continue such slipshod testimony, and you will be cast in the hell of hangnails, where you shall have hangnails grown and ripped out for 800 million years.
Hoo-ha! I think I'll pass on that.
Looks like that caught Prosecutor Sadmati off guard. This is my chance to rip his case to shreds.
Exactly that. Let's go.
That evening, I was enjoying a trek through the night sky with my homemade paraglider. But just as Mount Pawnee Pawnee was drawing near, something terrible happened. An accident forced me to make an emergency landing at the inner sanctum.
Hold it!
What exactly was this accident you had? Good question. Now, what was it again? Wind? Oh yeah, it was the wind. And not just any wind, but a sudden gale force wind. Made me lose control. The wind was strong enough to make you lose control?
You got that right.
Okay then, please add that to your testimony.
Gale force winds came out of nowhere, so I made an emergency landing at the sanctum.
I'm sorry, but I got something to prove here, and I have this new paper to submit, so you're wrong! We have a saying in my country, Mr. Emus, from one lie sprouts another.
Huh? What's that supposed to mean?
It means someone caught lying will lie again in an attempt to conceal their first lie. In other words, this current testimony is just a blatant lie you're telling to cover your tracks.
What did you just say?
You claimed gale force winds caused you to lose control, but this newspaper has the weather report for the day of the murder. It says the area around the inner sanctum will enjoy calm, clear skies today.
Pukunka! Why, I do believe it does say that.
From one lie sprouts another. That makes sense, but is it really a saying back home? I've never heard of it. Yeah, I kind of made that one up. For real? Your Majesty, the witness's testimony contains another flaw, one that's even more fatal to his cause.
Or fatal, you say? The defense will explain himself at once.
Mr. Emus claims he was flying up around the inner sanctum with his paraglider, but it would have been impossible to get all the way up there without any wind.
Why, yes, I believe you're right. But we know the witness was at the inner sanctum, so...
Mr. Emus, how did you get there and from where? Without any wind, he couldn't have flown up there from the bottom of the mountain. By process of elimination, the only starting point that makes any sense is... Your Majesty, I believe I have the answer to your question. To reach the inner sanctum, Mr. Emus must have launched himself from here. From the very top of the mountain.
Take that!
Hoo-ha! Are you insane? That's where he came from? If he couldn't have come from below, the only other option is from above. So you see, Anon Imus came down from Royal Penitentiary number 4. From there, he could have easily reached the inner sanctum by parachute. And that means he might have also killed the High Priest. What? Mr. Emus, were you the third party at the inner sanctum and the one behind the warning to halt the right that the victim received? Was it you we saw in his final memory? Are you the rebel hunter, Lady Kira? Hoo-ha!
Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, sir. Help me out here.
You did it! You finally left them speechless!
Aw, come on, Mr. Prosecutor, man.
Quiet, you fool. You should use this time to prepare yourself for what is to come. For a fate far worse than hangnail hell awaits you now. Well done, defense. I must concede this point to you. The witness did in fact descend to the inner sanctum from Royal Penitentiary number 4. Huh? He didn't even put up a fight this time. That's awfully generous of him. But if you are as perceptive as you seem, then surely you've already figured out the riddle. The riddle of Anon Imus's true identity. Oh, his true identity? Not sure I know quite yet, but I guess I'll have to answer with something. It would seem I am the only one still in the dark here. Would the defense care to enlighten me? Who is this man we've been calling Anon Imus? The witness's true identity is... Who else would it be? Let's show the wanted poster. Is this really him? Only now do you realize the truth. Well, please do share with us your belated eye insight. What's wrong, Nick? Why are you holding back? Because this isn't going to be very helpful to our case. Really? Are you sure? Unfortunately, I've got no other choice. That scruffy beard and shaggy mane completely threw me off. But it's all becoming clear now. The nighttime base jump from the mountaintop prison, the precision landing at the inner sanctum using only a homemade parachute, only a paratrooper, or more precisely, a former paratrooper could have pulled that off. The witness is Dats Arbal, prison escapee and key member of Dirk's rebel group. What? Gah-ha! The witness is an escaped prisoner? Precisely. The police have been scouring every corner of the city to no avail. Meanwhile, here he was under our noses the entire time. Hoo-ha!
Didn't think anyone would see through my clever disguise.
But the witness's charade is not all that has been shattered. Is it, defense?
Boy, do I hate this guy.
Please recall the defense's own words. Whoever sent it clearly meant to threaten the High Priest. The letter said, "Do not perform the rite." But the rite went on his schedule. I believe that is why the High Priest was murdered.
Who do you suppose sent that letter?
A person with something to hide. The rebel hunter disguised as Lady Kira herself. He claimed that the real killer was the rebel hunter disguised as Lady Kira. Yeah, and what's your point? What of the witness's true identity? Only a paratrooper, or more precisely, a former paratrooper, could have pulled that off. This witness is Dats Arabal, Prince's escapee and key member of Dirk's rebel group. Oh no!
He is a rebel and an escaped prisoner. He could not possibly have been Lady Kira, mortal enemy of the rebels.
No!
Now, perhaps the witness will enlighten us to the truth. After all, he has yet to refute any of this. Hoo-ha! You got me. I'm the razor-sharp fangs of the Defiant Dragons. That's Arabal! When did you get your memory back?
Oh, around the time you guys were talking about there being no win. But you gotta give me credit for making up all that testimony off the top of my head. Are you prepared to tell us the truth now? Well, it's true I parachuted down in the inner sanctum, but I banged my head on impact and ended up unconscious outside the ritual curtain. In short, all my eyewitness testimony was a big fat lie.
A big fat lie?
Oh, and by the way, long time no see, Yudi.
Wait, they know each other? Your Majesty, this filthy rebel belongs in a jail cell. Oh yes, of course. Bailiff, seize him at once.
Seems you really have forgotten the will of the dragon, huh, Yudi?
But I haven't, and no dogs of the Khura'in regime are gonna lay a finger on me. Alley-oop! Deploy all available resources. I want all units placed on high alert. The escaped prisoner escaped again. The police force has been placed on high alert. He will be caught before long.
An escaped prisoner who's escaped the law again after giving a ton of false testimony. Talk about a troublemaker.
He really pulled a number on all of us. What was the point of all that anyway?
Well, I can't help but feel that entire episode was an enormous waste of time.
Your Majesty,
perhaps it was not as great of a waste as you might believe.
What makes you say that, Prosecutor Satmani?
Dats Arabal dropped something as he made his escape from these halls.
That scrap of paper looks awfully familiar. These appear to be direct orders from Dirk. From Dirk, the rebel leader? Oh, but we only have a small corner of it. Wait, I remember now.
Your Majesty, I've seen that scrap of paper before.
You have?
The scrap of paper Dats Arabal dropped is a part of this, the bloodstained letter.
Take that! And this is...
I found it at the scene of the crime. It appears to be a copy of the order that Mr. Arabal dropped. If we put the two together, we should be able to read what the order says.
Oh my! And just what does it say, Mr. Wright?
I can't read Khura'inese.
Ah, Prosecutor Satmani, if you please. The ignorant lawyer has not bothered to learn our language? Very well, then. I do not understand.
Well, what does it say?
Using the lamplights as a landmark, he was to parachute down in the inner sanctum. Upon the rite's completion, he was to don Lady Kira's robes and make his escape.
What?
That is how he was to escape from prison?
So if I were to assume that Mr. Arabal was the one who killed the High Priest, then maybe it was because Abbott and me tried to thwart his escape plan.
Oh, foul lawyer.
I'm afraid that is simply ludicrous.
Huh? But I didn't say anything. Did he just read my mind?
I know how your putrid mind works. Unfortunately for you, however, now that the rebels' escape plan has been revealed, it is clear that That's Arabal is not the High Priest's killer.
How can you be so sure?
If only you would use that putrid brain of yours every once in a while. That's Arabal's plan could not have worked without the help of a certain individual.
What do you mean?
I am speaking of Abbot Immi, of course. Had That's Arabal simply donned Lady Kira's robes and made his escape alone, he would have been far too conspicuous. But were he by the High Priest's side, the faithful citizens praying in the plaza would have no cause to suspect anything. It is therefore unthinkable that That's Arabal was the High Priest's killer.
Ah! So then you're saying the High Priest was a... Oh, I cannot bear to say it.
I am afraid it is so. He numbered among the rebels who threatened our kingdom.
How could this be? A High Priest? A rebel? There must be some kind of mistake.
Let it go and move on. Accept the truth. It is the only way. And that goes double for you, Defense. Cease your futile battle now. And why should I? Because I will now put the final nail in the coffin of the accused. Now that we have eliminated That's Arabal from our list of suspects, there is only one person that still remains. The accused, Maya Fey.
Hold it! Hold it right there!
Aren't you forgetting something important?
Something important? Please do explain, Defense.
We can't end this trial without looking into the third party. I'm talking about the true identity of the Lady Kira we saw in the seance vision. If that wasn't That's Arabal, then who was it? That matter has already been resolved.
It has?
What's he talking about? It is as I have maintained from the start. There was no third party in the seance.
Objection! But there was another Lady Kira there besides Maya Fey. We all saw her. What the? I can't do my finger point. Ah!
It is time to let it go and move on. Your fate has already been sealed, much like your arm.
This hardly seems fair.
It is quite simple once you consider where the victim and the accused were at the time. If the victim was near the spring with his back to the accused, what would he see ahead? Besides the water itself, there is nothing but the Warbot statue. Precisely. The Lady Kira we saw in the seance is the Warbot statue draped in her sacred robes.
No way!
The accused wanted the false Lady Kira to appear in the seance vision before she came from behind and stabbed the victim with the dagger in a reverse grip.
But why would the accused want to do something like create a false Lady Kira?
To show it to the victim as he was being slain. And what reason would the accused have to fool the victim she was about to kill? It was not the victim she was trying to fool. It was this very court itself.
Come again?
Suspicion would not fall on the accused if it looked as if another Lady Kira was there. And the defense was foolish enough to fall for it and claim it was a third party in disguise.
Are you saying?
I am. It was all a cleverly wicked scheme, perpetrated by the accused. A scheme in which she sought to use the seance vision to mislead us. This can't be happening. What a face you are making, Defense. I am surprised you are taking this so hard. After all, did I not clearly state a while back that you were chasing after naught but a deluded fantasy? Something has occurred in me, you see. And your allegations of a third party are but a deluded fantasy. You're telling me he knew this is how it would turn out all the way back then? And that he was just waiting for the most effective moment to spring it on me? Do you understand now? I had you dancing in the palm of my hand this entire time. It can't be.
This is an outrage. You took our royal priestess' sacred divination seance and used it to commit this most foul and despicable murder?
No! I did nothing of the sort! Maya, Nick, it's not true. I didn't.
Cease this ugly display. Your fate is sealed now that the facts have been exposed.
Your Majesty, the time has come to convict this criminal who only seeks to taint this sacred hall.
Indeed. It seems this trial is over.
Hold it!
Does the defense wish to offer up yet another counter-argument or something? The accused is not the killer. And, here's why. Now what do I do? I've got nothing.
It would appear that the defense has run out of arguments to make.
I thought for sure that the rebel was the killer. The only person with a possible motive, the one dressed as Lady Kira, has vanished. And I've got nothing to use against Prosecutor Sadmati's argument. Damn it! I can't lose now. Not like this.
Very well then, I shall now render my verdict.
Wait! Please wait! I'm begging you! It is time to let it go and move on.
This trial need not be drawn out any longer. The defense has failed to counter the charge filed by the prosecution. In accordance with the law, I invoke the Defense Culpability Act against the defense. Now then, this court finds the accused Maya Fey and the defense Phoenix Wright guilty. Ah!
Your Majesty, please forgive the interruption, but...
What is the meaning of this?
A body has been found in the Plaza of Devotion, Your Majesty.
What's this?
A body? What happened now? And we found this sticking out of the victim.
Why, that's Lady Kira's Warbot dagger.
Lady Kira? She has returned from the Twilight Realm once more. She's come to defeat the rebels.
Peace.
Well, it would seem the dagger that was once lost has now been found. I have one more thing to report, Prosecutor Sadmati.
Yes?
This dagger... it bears the fingerprints of Maya Fey on it.
What?
But... why would Maya's prints be on it? I cannot believe it, yet it must be true.
Is something the matter, Prosecutor Sadma?
This trial has run its course and the accused's guilt has been firmly established. However, it would seem the defense was right about one thing. I was? You claim that the murder at the Inner Sanctum had been carried out by the rebel hunter masquerading as Lady Kira. I did say something to that effect, but what of it?
Prosecutor Sadmati, are you suggesting what I think you are?
I believe the true identity of the rebel hunter who has been masquerading as Lady Kira
is none other than the accused, Miss Maya Fey.
What? Me?
What?
I realize how shocking this must seem. Looking back, however, I now realize there was much that pointed to this fact. The rebel hunting Lady Kira was first sighted about 2 years ago, and the accused first came to our kingdom 2 years ago as well.
Why, the timing matches perfectly.
But there is more. That warning letter was found in the High Priest's bedroom 3 days before the rite. Despite his house being locked up tight that night.
Objection!
How does that prove anything?
Objection!
It is difficult to believe an intruder could have found a way to enter such a secure house. However, the accused was known to come and go freely there, mainly to prepare for the purification rite. Abbot Inmi was an important figure with a ton of duties, including training acolytes. He was really kind, even to a foreigner like me. He even invited me over to his house whenever I was between training sessions. The accused could have easily left the house unlocked for herself without anyone noticing.
No!
Well, this just got worse. If we assume that the accused was Lady Kira, that more than establishes her motive for killing the High Priest. Yes, the victim was secretly an insurgent bent on helping Dat's Arabal escape after. Precisely. That made him a target of Lady Kira's wrath. And after killing the High Priest, she then unleashed her divine justice on another rebel. So it seems the scope of this case has expanded. We now have 2 murders perpetrated by Miss Maya Fey masquerading as Lady Kira. If Miss Fey is indeed a serial killer, it would affect the severity of her punishment. In light of this, I believe the second murder must be investigated before we can proceed. As you wish, Your Majesty. Maya Fey, I hereby charge you with this second murder. May your defiled soul feel the weight of your sins. A new murder charge on top of a guilty verdict. It seems the defense will live to see one more day. Talk about hanging on by a thread. Come tomorrow, a far more terrible punishment awaits you. I hereby suspend these proceedings so that the second murder may be investigated. Until the conclusion of this new investigation, this court is adjourned. Great. Just great. As if we failed to prove the truth enough. Or rather, we fail and now this happens. Yup, we get one more day, but what good would that do? Not much. That is it. If you enjoy it, please be sure to hit the like button. It means a lot. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell. I will see you then. Believe me, it's going to be a long ride. This is MegamanNG signing off. Peace out. Product provided by Capcom.